Welcome back to Northern Perspective, everyone. I'm Cypher.
And I'm Fox. We're back to question period today, and so is Greg Fergus. However, it felt a bit different today.
That's probably because everyone was ignoring him when he wanted attention.
Gee, it's almost like prattling on about your party when you're supposed to be completely neutral will cause you to lose the trust of your colleagues.
Let's take a look.
Questions orales. The honourable member from Thornhill.
Families, farmers, First Nations from across Canada are struggling because of this Prime Minister's ideological carbon tax crusade. Food bank usage is up 100%, and today we learned that the average grocery bill will go up by $700 next year. His senators are blocking relief for Canadians struggling to eat. First Nations communities are taking him to court because of this carbon tax. Conservatives have proposed a motion to axe the tax and will stay here as long as it takes. So will the Liberals finally listen to Canadians and vote with us to scrap the punishing carbon tax?
The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A price on pollution is an important part of a climate plan, one that addresses affordability concerns. The vast majority of Canadians receive more money in the rebate than they pay in the price of pollution. The only group to benefit from the Conservative plan to end the climate program, to end the rebate, are the top 20% of earners, who almost everyone else gets poorer for their plan. The Conservatives are fighting for the rich. They are not fighting for Canadians who are concerned about affordability. The carbon price is both a climate measure and an affordability measure.
The honourable member from Thornhill.
All right. Here's the chart. There's the chart.
Again.
Not going to address it. All of you know exactly what it is, but there's the chart. So only in Liberal land can they say, by taking money from you, you actually have more money. That's basically what he was saying. Like this is double talk, double think. It's 1984, pure and simple. By taxing you, you actually have more money.
How about you just don't tax us in the first place?
Yeah, how about you let us keep our money?
Oh, right, because we're not actually getting more back.
Right.
That's why.
Right.
Talking points, but I'll take that as a no. Not only are they not going to vote against our motion, but they're going to also quadruple the carbon tax on gas, groceries, and home heating. Instead of voting to take the tax off of farmers, this desperate Prime Minister spent his weekend calling Liberal senators to manipulate a vote that he already lost in this House. Senators gutted the bill, betraying farmers, and then his caucus lost their minds over a plan to make them work overtime unless they axe the carbon tax. So why won't they keep their hands out of everyone else's pockets and finally axe the tax so Canadians can put food on the table?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Melissa's getting more confident as she speaks, and I absolutely love it. She has, really found her voice. She's found her method of delivery, and she's doing awesome.
She's amazing.
And she's right. Trudeau, keep your hands out of our frickin' pockets. This is the problem with Canada. Nobody can afford anything anymore. And if people could afford to leave, they probably would.
Mr. Speaker, there's only one caucus in this parliament that's losing their mind, and it's the Conservatives, because their Conservative senators didn't show up to vote on Bill C-34 in the other place. Mr. Speaker, we are happy to be here as long as it takes, because we will always stand up for Canadians, and we will always stand against bullies. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member from Thornhill.
God, you could hear Freeland in the background. It's so cringy. We will.
Yeah, until Canadians vote you out.
Yeah.
Last projection I saw on 338canada.com, Liberals were sitting at 66 seats. That's less than half.
Yeah, because they're at, I believe, it's 156.
Yes, they are currently.
That's where they're at. So they're losing 90 seats. Holy moly.
We need to make them lose 66 more, folks.
Yeah, 66 more.
Let's revoke their party status.
Mr. Speaker, that's the exact opposite opposite of what she said yesterday. Because of ministers like this, more Canadians will eat in food banks than ever, and more simply will go without any food at all. And for the new year, everyone is going to spend $700 more on groceries. While these Liberals fight for a few extra days of Christmas vacation, we're going to fight for Canadians, and then we'll send the Prime Minister on the permanent vacation that Canadians desperately want him to take. Why won't they axe the tax for families, for farmers, for First Nations, for good?
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Did everybody catch that?
And then we'll send the Prime Minister on the permanent vacation that Canadians desperately want him to take.
She said after Christmas, we're going to send this Prime Minister on a permanent vacation.
Foreshadowing, perhaps? Could Fox and Cypher be right, perhaps?
Could we be right?
I hope so.
Because here's the thing. They've been talking about an election behind the scenes since at least March.
That's when we first heard it.
They know something's coming. All of the talking points, all of these little mini events that are going on, everything is converging in February of 2024 for a no confidence vote, or at least the beginning of March. Because in January, the public hearings start for the public inquiry. The first report by Justice Hogue comes at the end of February. The petition is due to be revealed in February. So everything happens in February.
And don't forget, the Liberal NDP confidence and supply agreement ends on December 31st if the Liberals are not able to produce a pharmacare bill to the NDP's liking, which so far they have not. The NDP have already rejected one draft of the bill.
And there's 1 week left. It's next week. That's when this ends. So
Well,
if it doesn't make it by the 15th, which it won't, and if Jagmeet really does extend the deadline, which again, that goes against the wishes of his entire party that voted for this at the convention. That supply and confidence agreement is technically null and void as of the 31st of this year. So I think it's very interesting what she said.
8 years, Canadians are learning the hard way that the Prime Minister is simply not worth the cost. And the latest food price report shows that Canadians are bracing for another devastating blow next year, with families being forced to pay over $700 more for groceries. And that's on top of all the price increases the Prime Minister's carbon tax and inflationary deficits have already caused. Instead of making food more expensive with planned tax hikes, why don't the Liberals support our common sense plan to take the carbon tax off of families, First Nations, and farmers?
I'm going to ask all members please to wait their turn to have their opportunity to speak. The Honourable Minister for Families, Children and Social Development.
Notice how nobody is paying attention to Fergus here.
well, he's lost all respect.
Like, nobody wants to listen to him anymore.
I don't want to listen to him anymore.
And if you saw something was either being said or going on the other side of the house, because you see Stephanie Kuzy pointing and saying stop, stop, stop. So obviously the Conservatives were having an issue with somebody over there, and Fergus, being as partisan as he was in that video, didn't acknowledge it, just went to the next question.
Order. The Honourable Minister for Families, Children and Social Development.
Mr. Speaker, well, the Conservatives continue to do all that they can to paralyze government. We are here to work on behalf of Canadians, and happy to do so, Mr. Speaker. We will continue to make the necessary investments in our social programs, in Canada Child Benefit, in our $10 a day national early early learning and child care program. These programs are transformational for Canadian families, saving them hundreds of dollars each and every month. Mr. Speaker, we'll continue to work hard on behalf of Canadian families.
The honourable member from Regina Capel.
The transformation that this government has caused to families is that working people now have to go to food banks after 8 years of this Prime Minister. Let me read you a quote from that food price report. Canadians are reducing their expenditures on groceries, either by reducing the quantity or quality of food they are buying. This is unbelievable. This is in Canada. We used to have a high quality of life, especially for working people, and now those people with jobs are having to put water in their milk or literally go hungry. Do the Liberals not realize what they've done to this country, and when will they finally take the tax off so food prices can come down?
The honourable.
Yes, I think they know exactly what they've done to this country, and I don't think they care one bit.
Well, I think some of them care, and they just don't have the backbone to stand up to Justin Trudeau and put a stop to it.
Well, they're certainly going to care in the next election when they go out to get votes. But as it relates to the report that they keep quoting, so we've actually found that report, and it actually says what we've been saying this whole time. And it's not like, we've had this secret about the grocery stores. It's out there for all to see. And it's been out there since March when the CEOs came in the first time to testify at committee. And what they said was that their margins really haven't grown at all. The profit has gone up because their margins are based on a percentage. But the profit in terms of that percentage doesn't change. So you can say, yeah, their profit was $100 before, but it's gone up to $120 now, so therefore they're greedy. Well, not necessarily. If the inflation difference is 20%, then that accounts for that $20. And that $120 now is equal to $100 prior to all of this inflation. So nothing has really changed. And where they've gotten all of their profit is actually from the pharmaceuticals and the beauty products, because everyone went back to work. And some of these grocery chains ended up buying some drugstores to actually be able to sell this stuff. So here's an excerpt from that report that actually proves what we're talking about.
So this report is put out by the Agri-Food Analytics Lab, or AAL, which is in conjunction with Dalhousie University, the University of British Columbia, the University of Guelph, and the University of Saskatchewan. So this year's report was released today, and it's a prediction, if you will, of the food prices coming for 2024. So this excerpt says a significant 30.3% of Canadians believed that price gouging was the primary reason for the escalating food prices. Price gouging remained a concern through 2023, but Bank of Canada data indicated that while firms measured markups did grow after COVID-19, the markup was inflationary. Most of these markups occurred during 2020, and in 2022 were nearly zero or in fact negative.
So what does that mean? It means that the price increases on the food had nothing to do with corporate greed.
As the Liberals keep claiming.
And as the NDP keep claiming. So 30% of Canadians were listening to the Liberals and they were listening to the NDP. The good thing is that 70% of Canadians were not. That's a nice ratio. Anyway, what it means is that although we have no sympathy for big companies, let's attribute the blame where it needs to go, which is the carbon tax.
The report also states that the average family of four is expected to spend $16,297.20 on food in 2024, which is up $701.79 compared to last year.
Do you know anybody with an extra $700 to spend on food? Because we sure don't.